Hi, you all. My name is Kia Ray. I want to come to you all with a video that I hope and pray will promote awareness, brain healing, and strength. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I do have some things I want to address, but I'm going to leave it towards the end of the video. So make sure you stick around to the end. Okay, so let me jump into it. So I have MRKH. Oh gosh, it feels okay. Also, let me just say, I'm going to do a little bit of rambling because I talk a lot. But it feels amazing to finally be able to say that and actually feel good about it. Normally, I'm writing on a piece of paper at a doctor's office, and they come into the room and make me feel like crap because they're like, "What is MRKH? Do you know does this even exist? I went to medical school. I don't know this." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I have MRKH, and for those of you who do not know what MRKH is, Mayer Rokitansky Kuster Hauser syndrome. Sorry if I butchered it. I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's sad. I know I've had this syndrome for 10 years, but it's really long, okay? Um, it was actually named after the physicians who diagnosed the condition, and that's pretty cool. So, MRKH is a condition where the uterus and vagina is underdeveloped or absent. In my case, absent. I don't have it at all. I don't have a uterus, nor do I have a vagina. MRKH can also be associated with some abnormalities dealing with the kidney or bones. In my case, bones. I have scoliosis. I was diagnosed with scoliosis around 6, and I have had back surgery, so I don't really have severe case of it anymore, but it's still there. I still have it. Um, so yeah, that's MRKH. And I just want to go into, telling you all the details of how I was diagnosed with MRKH and also how I'm dealing with it now. Well, how I dealt with it then, how I'm dealing with it now, and just the process, my journey. This whole channel is going to be about my journey, but this is going to be the first part of it. So I'm going to come a little closer because I like to get personal when I tell a story. So when I first found out I had MRKH, well, first of all, let me just let you all know. I was first diagnosed with not having a uterus, and then I was diagnosed with MRKH. So I got my diagnosis separate, which sucked because I had to go through heartbreak twice. So I was in ninth grade when I found out that I didn't have a uterus. So all of my friends, and this is pretty much the norm for how women find out they have MRKH, they don't have a cycle. So I was in ninth grade, and pretty much everyone, all of my friends had a cycle except me. So I'm like, why haven't I got my cycle yet? It doesn't sound fun, but I want to go through it because all of my friends are talking about what type of pads do you wear? Oh, I don't wear pads. I wear tampons. Oh, excuse me. Can I go to the restroom? I have issues. It's that time of the month. I mean, realistically, who wants to go through that? Me. I do. I wanted to. So I was like, what's going on? Where's my cycle? I want to be in the crowd who has periods. So I went to my mom and let her know that, I don't have my cycle and everybody has theirs. We're in ninth grade. Everybody's becoming a woman except for me. Like, what's going on? So she's like, well, you are kind of late, but, we'll give it a couple months. You never know. So we waited probably until spring. Um, yeah, spring, my spring year of freshman year. And I still hadn't had my cycle. And when I tell you, everybody at my school had it. Like, every female at my school had it. And I'm just like, okay, this sucks. At this point, I was lying, telling people that I had it because I was embarrassed that I didn't have it. I was just like, yeah, I was stealing. It's not funny, but it's crazy. I was stealing my sister's pads, putting them in my purse to take them to school and stuff like that. So, but I went back to my mom and I was like, I think I need to go to the doctor because I still don't have it. I'm tired of pretending. So we would go to the doctor, and how did we? So we go to the doctor, and she runs a couple tests. I did a scan, and she just basically I did an ultrasound scan. Yeah, ultrasound scan, and it was pretty awkward because she was just like, okay, well, let me talk to you outside for a moment. Now, I mean my mom. So when she pulls my mom outside, I'm just like, well, dang, they couldn't tell me, like, what is it? I was young at the time, but for some reason, I hadn't even had any type of interaction. But I'm like, oh my God. First thing popped in my head is, what is it? I hope I'm not pregnant. I'm just like, now looking back on it, like, girl, how would you be pregnant? Like, what were you doing? Drinking milk or something? Like, how would you be pregnant? But that was for some reason my first reaction because you're at the doctor. They tell your mom to step outside and not you. You're just like, what I do? So when they got back in the room, my mom was crying, and I'm like, oh my God, like for real, what happened? Like, what's going on? And they just basically told me that they wanted me to run some more tests, but it didn't look like I had a uterus. So I'm like, okay, well, not fully understanding what that meant. I'm young. So I'm like, uterus, all right, well, hey, okay, so what do we do? So she just basically broke it down to me, saying that you won't be able to bear children, you won't have a cycle, you didn't develop one during birth. When I tell you all, I didn't even think about bearing children. All I heard was I wouldn't have a cycle, and I felt crushed. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to be normal. How am I? That's all I cared about at the time. Not even knowing that it was bigger issues than being a part of a period club. So my immatureness definitely snuck in on that moment. But once I got over that issue of not having a cycle, it did sink in that, I wouldn't be able to have children or bear children. But I didn't really care at the time because that's not one of my interests. I wasn't thinking about kids or bearing kids. It didn't interest me, so it didn't really hit me at that time. So I went through my whole ninth grade year still lying about having a period and, just doing immature things like that. Then, fast forward to 11th grade. So I get in 11th grade. I go to 11th grade prom with my sweetheart. We're not together anymore, but yeah. And, you know, things happen after prom. Tried to do some things I had no business doing. And it didn't happen because, well, of course it couldn't. I don't have a vagina. So upon, trying to enter and trying to put it in, it just really hurted really bad. So I was like, no, let's stop. So we did, but the pain was just so excruciating that it lingered for like days. And I didn't want to tell my mom, but then I was to the point where I was like, forget it, I gotta tell her because I couldn't even sit down. I had irritated that area so much trying to penetrate. So, my mom took me to the doctor again. Of course, she was upset this time. She's like, you're trying to have sex. Why are you trying? We had to have that whole conversation. I was just like, ugh. So, my mom took me to the doctor, and like I said, I had irritated my vagina area so bad that it was like bloodshot red. Like my OBGYN actually put a mirror down there to show me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was just swollen. So she was like, okay, well, let me try to do a pap smear, make sure everything's okay. She tried to put her finger right there, and well, no, let me rewind. So she told me that she wanted to do a pap smear, make sure everything was okay. At this point, that there was nothing they could do because it was swollen. So I had to come back next week. I'm like, you can't give me nothing. She was like, no. And her and my mom, she's actually my mom's OB. She was actually my mom's GYN. So they're talking, they're cool, and they're just like, no, that's what you get for trying to penetrate. You shouldn't have did it. This is what you get. Cool, whatever. So I'm like, whatever. So in a week or so, the pain did stop. Swelling did go down, and I went back to her for the pap smear. When she tried to do the pap smear, she first tried to go in with her tool. I don't know what it's called. It didn't work. I was like, no. And she was like, your swelling has gone down. Are you still feeling pain? Maybe that's what it is. I'm like, no, it's not that type of pain. It's a whole nother pain. You gotta chill. So then she tried to go in with her finger. Couldn't do that either. But when she went in with her finger, she's like, okay, I'm feeling like a bit of resistance, like a wall. Let me try to get a Q-tip. She went in with that Q-tip, y'all. I just like had a fit in the office. I was like, oh my gosh, no. Don't stick nothing else up me. What are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? So she was like, I don't understand why, it's not allowing me to penetrate or for any of my tools or objects to go in. Give me a moment. So my mom was just like, did it hurt that bad? She walked out of the room and she's like, was it really that bad? I'm like, yes. Like, no, she can't go back down there, at least not today. Maybe I'm still sore. I don't know, but she can't. So we stay there for a couple more moments. And she comes back in. She comes back in with another OBGYN. Of course, she asked me if I was okay with that. And I was like, yeah, whatever you guys got to do. Just don't stick me again. So they come in, they do an examination and all that. And then they go out, have a little conversation. Then she comes back in and she's like, okay, we're not sure. But, we want to get some second opinions. We're going to schedule again for next week. So I'm like, okay. Every time I come here, it's an issue. I was like, yo, I can't come back to her after this because every time I come, I feel like she's coming at me with some bad news. So I leave the office and me and my mom are just talking and everything. And she's just like, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm like, yeah, what else can be wrong with me? Boy, was I wrong about that. It's a lot more. So we get back there next week. And there's another physician there. I don't really know his name. It was a male though. And of course I wasn't comfortable with the male, being all in my area. But I was like, hey, I gotta figure out what's going on, so let's just do it. The first exam of many. So he basically examined me and he diagnosed me really. He was just like, I believe you have MRKH. And I was like, what's that? And he gave me the rundown of, how it's that I don't have a vaginal canal. So I'm like, so does that mean I don't have a vagina? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. He was like, but, that's not an issue. There's some type of reconstruction therapy you can go to, where they use dilators, or even if that doesn't work, then we take the surgery route. And all I'm hearing in my head, I didn't even, the only reason I know that he said that is because my mother was there. If my mother wasn't there to hear that, I wouldn't have been able to recall that. All I heard was, you don't have a vagina. You do not have a vagina. When I tell you that my whole, I'm getting emotional just talking about it because it just snatched my whole, soul out of me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's okay, I got my tissues, y'all. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was just like, not only can I not bear kids, not only can I not have a cycle, I can't even have sex. I can't do anything that is womanly. What am I? I was feeling like I wasn't a woman. I was feeling like I wasn't a girl. I was like, and I did go as far as, and I know this is very ignorant now because if someone was to say this to me now, I would be very upset, like highly upset. But I did at the time, I was just being diagnosed. I was ignorant. I was just like, what am I? Am I a hermaphrodite? Like, what am I? And he was like, oh no, nothing of that sort. You're still a woman. You're a female. Don't get that misconstrued or anything. And I was just like, I can't be a woman. How can I be a woman? I don't have a vagina. I don't have any woman characteristics or anything. I just have the look. So that was pretty hard for me. Just having to go through that twice. I think it would have been hard, but it would have been a little bit easier had I got it all at once. As she would have told me, you don't have a uterus, you don't have a vagina. But I guess there was no way for her to physically know that at that time. So, yeah, that's how I got diagnosed with MRKH. Um, After finding out I had MRKH, like I said, my whole demeanor was different. I didn't feel like I was a woman. I didn't feel, I felt my confidence went out the window. My self worth went out the window. I got so depressed. I got so depressed that I started slacking in school, started wanting to be a part of different social groups I had no business being in. I questioned my sexuality. I questioned my I question everything. I'm not gonna tell you a story. It's just like a very, very rocky time in my life. I couldn't even. I wouldn't wish that time that I had in my life on anyone, anyone. And it has made me a stronger woman, but I definitely couldn't relive it ever. I was so depressed. I was so angry. My biggest question was why me? My religion, I started to question it. I started to question everything. My friendships, I was distant. I didn't want to be a part of anything. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to talk about it. I couldn't talk about it. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed because I felt less of a woman. I didn't want anyone to question my womanhood because I was already questioning my womanhood. I didn't want anyone to look at me like different or because I was already looking at me different. I didn't love myself at the time, and I couldn't expect for anyone else to do that if I didn't. I felt ugly. I felt worthless. Yeah, it was horrible. And honestly, I've been feeling that way since that moment up until a year ago. I'm 25 years old right now. I found that out. I found out about my uterus when I was 15. And 3 years later, I was going on 18 when I found out about MRKH. I'm 25 right now. It took me that long to really just embrace myself, to embrace this condition, to love myself again, and be able to even speak on it. This is the first time that I'm speaking about this and putting it in a public platform, a public setting. My family doesn't know I have this condition. No one, my friends, people I've went to college with, people I've roommated with, people they don't even know. I never had the strength to tell them. And I basically put that burden on my mother. And even realizing that now, I want to apologize to her too, because that is such a burden to carry, like your child's mental stability and not being able to tell anyone else. I Even when I went to counseling, I couldn't tell people. I couldn't even vocalize for a long time. I kind of put it out of my mind. I was like, whatever. This is just a this is just me now. I was shut down. But anyways, that is my MRKH story. I don't want to make this video too long because I do have more to follow. I have a lot of stories, you all, from MRKH to scoliosis to just dealing, period. Right now, I've come a long way. I'm not going to say I'm completely there because I'm not. I will be definitely telling you a story. But I am to where I want to let it be known that I'm living with MRKH. Um, in November, I will be having my surgery to create my vaginal canal. I'm very excited about that and the journey and the opportunities that that's going to open up for me. I'm going to talk about that as well on this channel. And I wanted to make this channel not only for women with MRKH, but also for my loved ones and family members that I have not disclosed information to. I know this will be your first time hearing about it. And I just want to say that I hope you don't feel as though I've been lying to you, because I haven't. It's just I was afraid to share a certain part of myself with you all. And not because I didn't feel that you would be able to handle it. I couldn't handle it at the time. And I know it was selfish. And I know that your support with me through this would have probably helped me a lot, because your support with me through anything else has helped me a lot. But I couldn't tell you at the time. I still, the fact that I'm making a video to tell you right now is still a little iffy to me, but this is the only way that I know to do it. And until I can build up that courage, I just pray that you have that understanding. To everyone just joining my channel or just getting to know me, I am Kira Ray, and I hope that you continue to follow my journey. If you all have any questions or any comments, please leave them below. I also am going to list my email and my Instagram in the description box. And just feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos throughout my journey, talking about where I'm at now, where I've been. I'm going to be doing different topics. And if you know anything that you want me to speak on, let me know as well. Thank you all so much for listening.